Hey, you guys, hold on a second. Oh my gosh, sorry. There we go. I do fumble around a lot in the beginning, but that was the worst. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Tellman and Fellman Show, episode 44 with Tom Bell. I'm really excited to have him here. Of course, my name's Harris Fellman, and over there, the other bald guy.
I'm Tellman Knutson. Welcome to the Tellman and Fellman Show. It is another wonderful episode. It's Monday. We're ready for an incredible week.
All right, cool. So my setup's not great. So I'm just going to say Tom is one of the OGs, pre-OG, I would say, when it comes to internet marketing. He went from making $600,000 in just 1 month on his very first offer to totaling just north of $250 million. And I know that we throw billions around all the time nowadays, but that's a lot of money. I don't care who you are. Tom ran his own office. He's been running his own offers for decades. I think we're running up on 3 decades now. He's a master copywriter and has been spreading some of that magic for his copywriting and consulting clients, of course. Tom has written dozens of highly successful offers over the years, emailed big numbers, and bigger numbers than most of us probably. So I'm just super happy to welcome. I put on my I don't know if you've ever called yourself this, but I put the $250 million man. So please welcome Tom Bell.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll take that moniker. Good.
All right. Welcome. All right. So Tom, I remember you from the early days of my internet marketing seminars, and I suspect you were probably going to them before I was. I don't know. I don't really know. Do you remember when we first met? I'm a little foggy on it.
I certainly remember that 30K thing, but we were already pals by then. That was at Yonex.
Is that 30K in 30 days?
It is. Tom Bell was in 30K in 30 days. We actually are using 30K in 30 days as a bonus in our automatic audience offer. I have the whole video.
But Tellman made me change he made me change the some of the language on the bonus because it's called 30K in 30 days. So it's kind of like a promise. FTC might not like that nowadays. So
we called it.
I agree. It was a different age.
We named it what Jesse Jameson and Tim Irway called the website for the project, which was Meeting with the Masters. Yeah. Anyway, I've seen a lot of footage of that recently as I've been going through clips of it and things with you on it. So it's pretty awesome.
Big fun. Yeah, I know we knew each other before that, but probably one of not Onik, not Yannick. The other one, the other guy, whose name is escaping me.
Armin.
Armin.
Yes. Probably met at Big Seminar. Unless you were you at that Mark Joyner, Gary Halbert fusion seminar that happened in Miami? I don't think you were.
No, I met Gary once, but he was speaking at someone else's seminar.
I was never invited to those big seminars because I'm only 5'4".
Nice. So, Tom, tell us a little bit about your marketing origin story. Like when did you get started in the marketing game, and when did that move into the internet? What's your background? Like, give us the high points.
Well, I'll give you the minute or two version. A lot of my friends tell me that my real origin might be something I should leave out, but I've never had good sense enough to do that. I remember finding a box of a milk crate of dirty magazines when I was 11, and a lot of kids would have sold those to his friends. I rented them because I knew that I had a better long-term customer value that way. 11. Then there was drugs. Let's face it. It's a terrible thing, but it's a great way to learn business.
Did you rent the drugs? You rented the drugs as well?
No. Those are consumables for a whole other reason.
Gotcha.
But the killer Dominicans in New York taught me. Really, I mean that's a topic, but we could skip that one.
You're not the first. You're not actually the first. Nobody. I don't want you to talk about it, but you're not the first to have mentioned. And I didn't do everything great in my younger days, and it's. But you're right though; it all does tie into entrepreneurialism in one way or another until you figure out, oh, there's not even good margins in that. If you really researched it, like at the end of the day, it's not a good business.
Yeah.
So and the
You,
risks are
you,
too high.
you know something. I'll give you one sentence that really makes sense in that, and it translates to all businesses. And it's this: the guys on the corner selling the fake stuff, right? That's one example. Now the guy with, like, you know, a 5% margin in the apartment, who's paying for help, he's paying for security, he's paying for lookouts, and his margins are like nothing. Which one has the BMW? Because
Um,
he's taking care of his customers. That's the guy up in the apartment,
yeah.
right? Taking care of customers is the story. But you know, I sold toys for a long time, so I've always been selling something. And so there's kind of a fun story that you know blends into the copywriting thing, and it is this: back in the early '90s, 94, 95, somewhere around there. Um, I was selling my toy helicopters, and it rained. So I said, to hell with this. I'm getting a job on the internet. And if I go fast, it's because I've told the story a few times. So I go online, and I had been a fairly good expert flea marketer. I worked at flea markets and special events. So I went online. I said, where's the flea market? Well, that was eBay. It
Right.
was new. And back then, you could sort all of eBay in a single search. So I looked at what was selling. And there was a thing called Dutch auctions, where you would sell as many of an item that you had, and people would bid up the price. So you could see what the price was and how many were sold. So, long story short, I looked at what was selling the best, period.
Okay, hold on, hold on. What year?
Oh, this would have been 95, would be my
Yeah,
best guess,
that's the year I graduated from
thereabouts.
high school. All right, cool, cool.
Okay. So I took out grandma's ring and, you know, the one off, but I found this item. It was a cell phone antenna booster. I didn't even know how to use a computer. You know, I learned it in a week, you know, how to use Windows and, you know, this new computer, the whole bit. And I saw that there was this one product. It was a cell phone antenna booster. You taped it to your cell phone battery, and it was supposed to make your cell phone. I had engineers from the army write me with stories about how well they were. It was a sticker. Um,
I
so
sold those too.
I,
I sold those. I had a email deployment company, and we were mostly it was mostly adult sites, to be honest, and we figured out that, oh wait, these are just guys. I wonder what else they'll buy instead of just selling them that, because they bought the f out of websites, and they kept buying new sites, and we made plenty of money on that. And then we said, well, you know what? What else will they buy? And I remember those. And I also sold like mini toy helicopters. You mentioned the helicopter was the mini ones when those came out. Those were super hot one year. So you're crossing into the same years, I think, that I was also like selling whatever I could with email. Yeah.
yeah, you know, something that not a lot of people talk about, but you know, I've come to learn that it's true is, you know, we don't talk much in the internet marketing world about CPA marketing. It's like affiliates with lawyers. That's what it's just bigger affiliates. That's all. But you know, there's millions and millions being made in that industry, and most of the big companies, their origin story was porn. They sold porn. Porn got consolidated down to like three companies, and these guys were all left with giant porn lists, email lists, and that's how the CPA industry,
Interesting.
most of the players got started.
I think that's right. I
But
was, and I
anyway,
was, I was, I definitely was there. And just to let everybody know, in case they don't know, CPA is basically cost per acquisition, rather than like a rev share. It's a different form of affiliate marketing. So
yeah. So real quick, I saw that there was this product being sold, and here's the magic. Here's the first piece of magic, and it's this: I found 11 guys selling this cell phone antenna booster via Dutch auctions. So I could tell based on their auctions who was selling the most and who was selling the least. And it's just as simple as this. I wrote a quote unquote sales page, aka eBay auction page, and I said more of what the number one guy said and less of what the number 11 guy said.
Yeah.
$600,000 in my first month on my first try.
What?
That's
Wow.
that. So the phase two of
So you
that
figured out
is there was,
where to buy them on for bulk,
yeah.
and how did you ship all that?
Oh my God, I think I was the first guy. 4.99 shipping and handling for a 7-cent cell phone antenna booster. We were selling
Were
it for
any of
99
those other
cents.
guys weren't doing that?
I think they started. I think I was there first.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we were making 4.99, and we could fit 11 of them in a standard envelope.
Right.
So we
Yeah, they're
sold,
just stickers.
yeah, we sold 10 for, if we were selling them 1.99, we'd sell 10 for,
No, but were you like,
9.99 like that.
were you like shipping these out of your apartment or what?
Yeah, yeah, I never knew this, but you can get from the post office these laundry hampers. Like those big hampers with wheels, like at the laundromat.
Yeah.
When you have so much mail, you need those to bring your letters to the post office.
Right.
Yeah, it was like I Love Lucy. We'd have a train of those luggage carts
Yeah.
going into the post office.
That's funny.
Oh, real quick. So two quickies, and then we'll get to other things. I promise. I went into the bank at one point. This was great. I went into the bank, and remember, this is '95. So, the internet's new. Nobody knows what it's all about. They call me into the bank manager's office, and he's like, "So, Mr. Bell, tell me how your business works. Tell me what you do, and how does it work?" And I'm thinking to myself, I am being investigated by the FBI, right? I'm getting asked all the questions. He keeps asking questions, and after like 10 minutes, it dawns on me. This was not the FBI. This was the ass kissing meeting, because I was depositing hundreds of thousands of dollars every month. Yeah, that was fun. But the ClickBank story was kind of cool. And it's the bridge. So I had all these buyers for cell phone antenna boosters. And there was this brand new company called ClickBank. Brand new, right? Jennifer, whose last name escapes me, was the receptionist. She's the CEO now. Same lady. Um, she's like,
Wow.
Tom, we have to
That's
shut
a
you
story. We
down.
should have
But
her on.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
like,
we were
Beavers.
emailing. It was
Jennifer
brand new.
Beavers.
These were buyers. That doesn't sound. Yeah, who knows? I'm old.
Okay.
But I get this call one day, and I'm mailing everything, like how to play guitar, how to build a harmonica, all kinds of different things. I get a call one day, and remember, these are buyers who just bought something on eBay. They're good. They're good emails, right? So I get this call one day, Tom, we had to shut down your account and take all your money. Why? Well, because you're a spammer. So she was reading from this list, right? And I said, but wait a minute, these are buyer emails. It doesn't get any further from spam than buyer emails, right? Yeah, but you're a spammer. Can you tell me who accused me? No, I can't because you're a spammer. And this went on and on and on. And finally, I said to her, Jennifer, I'm pretty sure that you're a girl. Of course. She says, yeah, of course. If I called you a boy 10 times in a row, would you become a boy? No, 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 Tom, you can have your money. So here's what happened. That day I was promoting a grant guide, how to get a government grant with resale rights. Okay. This guy writes a letter to ClickBank and says, look, I normally sell 20 books a day. I've sold 170 so far. It's today I can. That was my nickname. He's a spammer. I was accused for spam for selling too much. Now, the two punchlines right after that are this. She says, okay, Tom, I'll open your account, but don't run any more emails for this guy. Now, remember, this was before tracking links or redirects or any of that even existed, right? So I'm like, Jennifer,
Who's
once you
this
light
guy?
me up, I'm going to start selling again.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do what we had. This guy writes a second email to ClickBank. Not only is he a spammer,
hold on a
he's a
second.
hacker too.
Hold on. This guy is a competitor of yours on ClickBank, also selling a similar guide?
No, he's just a
He's just
product owner.
he's
I'm
an
an affiliate.
anti-spammer who bought your product and decided to start complaining
No, no,
about you.
no. I was an affiliate selling his products. he was selling too many products, in his opinion. So he's a
You were
jerk,
selling too many
right?
products and he didn't wanna pay you.
Or no, he thought I was getting him in trouble somehow as a spammer.
He was
Who knows?
sending too much traffic. He thought it was fraud or something. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So he accuses me of being a hacker as well because they turned back on. All he had to do was call me and ask. So the last phase to this is kind of the nirvana part, and it's this. This guy had reprint rights to this guide, right? So I bought the reprint rights. I stayed up all night. My wife thought I was crazy for selling a book that wasn't a book, an ebook.
Right.
Nobody's ever going to buy this, Tom.
Right.
I tweaked it. I made it a little better. And then I started buying emails like they were going out of style. My first email, I spent like $60. I made $68 after all expenses, right? I
You
said,
mean
well, if I
email
send out
email
2,000,
you paid for somebody to send the email for you, like
yeah,
a
yeah,
solo ad.
yeah. And people were wondering why I was so happy to make $8. I'm like, I sent out 2,000 emails and made $8. What happens when I send out 2 million?
Right. Right. Right.
Right? And that's precisely what happened. We did $60 million with that offer. Oh, and what was the offer? I bought the reprint rights to his grant guide. And when I came out with that grant guide, I named it the Today I Can Grant Guide. We were out selling Matthew Lesko, the guy with the question marks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first offer.
That's insane.
Cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. So, okay. So you have a knack for spotting certain types of opportunities that open up clearly, and at certain points, like you really hit pay dirt with it, right? Like struck gold. So,
And then
um,
you must study the copywriting aspect of it. Like that sounds like one of the themes as well. Like, you know, you couldn't be $60 million successful if you didn't have good sales copy on the ClickBank site, you know?
Yeah, and the weird thing about it is, I'm fully aware that I'm not a great looking guy. That I'm not in great shape. That there's a lot of things that I'm not good at, but I just got blessed. I got blessed with knowing how to read people and knowing how to write copy. I've never read a copy book. Never studied it. Just got lucky with it.
and
I
so
think.
so as a copywriter, I mean, so you've been in the game since the '90s, like selling stuff on eBay and then evolving. So, what would you say is what would you say, just based on years of experience and obviously seeing some really big wins over that time, working on your own stuff or working with other people? What would you say is your unique ability or your special ability when it comes to copywriting and offers and marketing?
I think I have an answer to that. The easy answer is being able to read people pretty good, but it goes one step deeper, and it's this. I love people. I mean, everybody says that, but I have terribly low self-esteem. I look up to everybody, right? It just is, right? And I think that the thing that I'm better at than most is I can I can harm you with love. I can twist the knife into your soul and make you feel real bad and then make you feel good. Like I can make you feel bad with love. I call it the twisting of the knife, right? So I feel like that's an important element to selling big numbers in copy. You have to make them feel bad for not having it. So that's my
Oh,
answer.
so in a way, so sorry, that sounded rough to me. So basically it's kind of like you have a tough love approach to find their pain, and then you twist the knife a little more to make sure they know they're really in pain.
Yeah, and then you
And then
and
you
then
give
you
them a
bring them out of
solution
it with the
to that
product.
pain.
Yeah,
Got
So
it.
yeah,
you're really good at putting people in pain.
but it's with love.
Because he loves them.
I,
It's
I mean,
tough love.
That's
I've tried. Look, Tellman, me and Sean
uh,
kind of ran ClickBank there for a minute,
yeah.
That's
and
Sean
I've
Casey that you're
tried.
referring to.
Yeah, I've tried more than once to sell positively. In mass markets, it's just hard to do.
Mhm.
Put it
It
this
can
way:
be done, but it's very hard.
appealing to the dark side, the limbic system, for keeping you safe, keeping you sexed. I mean, that's another one, but we can't really sell sex. We can't sell BizOp with sex. I'm sure people have tried though. But yeah, it's making people get real intimate with how bad they feel, and then bringing them out of it to sell.
I mean, this is one of the one of the age old complaints that people have about the news, and this topic of discussion is nothing new. But like, everyone. I don't watch the news. I don't listen to the news. I don't keep up with politics. I'm as disconnected as I possibly can from mainstream news media, but yet it still seeps through, right? And everyone complains about how negative the news always is, and so on. And as copywriters, we know about the rubberneck effect. We know about when something terrible happens, people immediately start paying attention, and that when they receive good news, they slough it off. They don't appreciate it. They don't think about it. But like when something raises their heartbeat and scares the crap out of them, like it's got complete and total focus. And so people are always upset about about how the media companies are controlling humans, with the messaging. And this is true. But what's also true is that humans pay attention when things go bad. It's the reason relationships fall apart, because we don't show enough appreciation and we only point out people's flaws. Like it's how humans are often wired, and we have at least I have to train myself not to be focused on the negative. It's very interesting.
Or change the negative to a positive. Like when something is a challenge, be grateful for that, because now you get to overcome that challenge,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Now, you guys want to hear a doomsday scenario from an optimist? I mean, I'm an optimist. I
I was
really
I
am.
was I was gonna say too, like, yes, we do, and because you've made me think of it, but you've reminded me that I was thinking about this when you said, like, I actually, like, I dislike, like, I sell email ads, as you know, and one of the markets for a while that was really big was that survival doomsday, doomsday prepper, and I didn't like it. I felt like it was
Yeah.
too negative,
Yeah.
and that really bothered me. So let's hear your doomsday, your hopeful doomsday scenario.
For the record, I wrote a lot of those winners in survival.
I'm sure.
Um, but so here's a doomsday scenario that this scares me more than anything, and it's this: you put a couple of things together, and that is that marketing and advertising and customized big data, we can all agree that it is getting better and better and better every year at getting into the user's head, right? The technology's rolling on and it's advancing very quickly, okay, getting better and better. So here on the other side, it's called the limbic system. I'm sure we all know what that is. Um,
Why don't you
it's
explain it for a
fight.
moment, just to bring everybody up to just give it a one-liner
How does
so
it
everybody
refer
can
to?
see.
How does it, relate to what we're
Okay.
talking about?
Well, it's fight, flight, or freeze. I mean, everybody talks about that, right? It's when your brain. I actually have a couple of others that I'll mention. Fight, flight, freeze. Another F word that you can guess because it is limbic, sex cells, and favor. If you're moving up or down in society because we're pack animals, those are the five items that'll put you in the limbic system, right? Now, it's science that the limbic system sells better than the cortex. When you're scared, when you want, some action in the other F department, uh, you are more likely to listen to a sales pitch. You're more likely to listen to a political pitch
Oh,
when you're scared or when you want, the other F. Um, now, the only problem with that is that the Sistine Chapel was not built with the limbic system. It was built with the cortex. So big marketing and big data and effective marketing is causing us to spend a whole lot more time in the limbic areas of our brain. And we're not building societies. We're not advancing the
Huh.
work
So when you talk
as
about the
much
Sistine Chapel, you're
based
not
on
talking
that.
about the church aspect of it. You're talking about the cultural aspect of it. If we're reacting, if we're marketing to and reacting to the limbic system, all those.
Well,
Um,
I believe both are true. I mean, the guys who built that building had to be real artists. The guy,
yeah. Well, I
David,
mean,
the guy who painted it, was a real artist. He didn't do that afraid.
Well, it's very much like people are just being lulled into further and further and deeper levels of escape from
Yeah.
rather than creating, we're just numbing ourselves into floating along. It's just like
Yeah, out of fear and whatnot. And the bad part about all this is even if you're good, even if you're an honest politician, for example, I mean, at this date, talking politics is super scary. But even if you're a good guy, right, you got to compete with the other guy. Like if you want to use positive, messaging, right, you're competing with guys who are using more effective messaging.
Yeah, you have to be 10
And more
times, at
effective
least
means
10
cheaper.
times better than them, like in order to win. Like not impossible, but like you got some push-ups to do.
Yeah, yeah. So that can take us to bad places, and I hope it doesn't. But yeah, it can get scary.
Yeah. So, Tom, as a almost 30-year copywriting veteran here, I'm sure and a creative. Uh, I'm sure you've seen situations, partnerships, team ups, scenarios where you, as a copywriter, have thrived, and ones where you've been frustrated and hated your life. Ones where you've made a lot of money, and ones where you've worked your butt off and made nothing. And so, or made a lot and then lost it. I mean, all these are options, right? And so I'm curious for advice for fledgling copywriters that are, just getting their feet wet, getting started, or maybe halfway through their career. Um, what have you found to be an ideal situation for you as a copywriter to thrive when working either with clients or on a team or in a partnership, or or whatever? Like, what do you need to be there to for you to do your very best work?
Well, with me, a lot of it is my personal, feelings. I've gotten divorced twice, and I fell off the planet for 3 or 4 years each time.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm depressed, I'm not doing anything. But if I'm advising new copywriters, I mean, it sounds like a quip what I'm about to say, but if you're taking up copy to work for clients, don't quit. Just quit now. Write your own offers. Right? You got to, in my opinion, because this is how I did it. You write your own offers because why would somebody pay you to maybe make a sale? Right? I mean that part I don't get that. If you can't make it, if you can't, or at least be an affiliate, if you can't earn money, writing, and then it goes without saying, almost all the quote unquote masters will tell you, you want to write, 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 write. Don't guess. Don't even read. Write. Right. I mean and again that's how it worked for me. Right. So my advice to new copywriters is if English is your second language, get real good at English. If you're going to sell to an American audience, get better than you think you need to be. Get real good at it. Learn the difference between Louisiana Southern and Florida Southern. They're different. You get it? Like that. That's kind of my pet peeve. But the way to get from the rank beginning. Oh, and don't do it. Don't do it because you met a rich copywriter. Don't do it for that. You gotta have the spark, the thing, some of the thing to do it. Right? Don't do it because it looks cool.
So you're
And
you're
start with
you're
your own
kind of
art.
approaching it as an art, like it's writing, and you're using writing with a purpose instead of just writing for a book, a nonfiction book, or rather a fiction book, I should say. It's another form of writing. How much do you incorporate story in your copy and your offers?
110%. It's everything. Here's a quickie, a quick story. I had a client, and we were selling, let's just say, male enhancement products, and a lot of people, will say between that, well, it's probably the most competitive info product space on planet Earth. You know, male enhancement, and he was already making money, and he's like, Tom, write me an offer. And I said, okay, here's my story based, offer pitch. He's like, that's not how they do it. Tom. They say it's good, they say it's great, they make a promise, and then they tell you how much it costs. I'm like, well, that story's going to work. Long story short, we wrote a great story. To this day, it's the piece that I give people if they want to see a representation of my work, right? Because he put it out there, and not only did he make money with it, he doubled the other guy, doubled in a competitive market like that with a story. Yeah, and you know what? All the stories boil down to not just the hero's journey, right? If you want to learn how to sell on to Americans on modern times, go watch the Dagobah scene in Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. It's all in there.
The
Yeah,
witch scene?
that's the Dagobah scene when Luke Skywalker flew the X-wing to that jungle planet with Yoda, and he met him for the first time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, it's every time I write, that's the exact structure that I use.
The Dagobah. Okay,
Yeah, well, well,
I
well,
don't remember it well enough to know how it relates to,
well,
a
let me give it a stab here, and you tell me if I'm
Yeah.
on point or not here, Tom. But I mean, you're talking hero's journey, right? And so obviously,
Mhm.
young Luke, right, is working his way through getting his butt kicked and whatever, and then finally he goes and he finds Yoda, and basically like Yoda makes him train in a really nasty swamp and do really hard things for a super long time, and Luke feels like crap about himself, and he's like, but it's very similar to like the way Karate Kid plays out with Mr. Miyagi. I mean,
Yeah.
the reluctant hero meets their master, and the master kicks their ass, and the hero comes out like
Yeah.
as an ass
And
kicker.
the only thing to add to that is true that through the Karate Kid as well, through the Dagobah scene, is Luke knows that there's just this bit of magic in there somewhere. He
That's right.
knows.
That's right.
Yeah, that I think that's an important ingredient that the user. I mean, one of the rants that I like to go on is when you sell big numbers. I mean, you guys both have seen this, I'm sure. Like I've sold like 1 million for individual product transactions over the years, right? And I have maybe a 3% win, like 3% of the people who bought my business opportunity products got rich, right? Because they did stuff and so on and so on. Now, my refund rate, throughout has been roughly 6%. And that's good for BizOp, right? Now, there's such a difference between 3% on the high and 6% of people not liking it enough to ask for a refund. What is that other 92%? Why are they keeping their products? Right? I call that the shield against mediocrity, and it's this. Imagine a little wimpy guy with a pencil protector. He's, 90 pounds and scared of everything, and he's got a boss named Butch, who's this big bad guy who takes credit for all of his work. Butch is a bad guy, right? So little, Davy boy buys a BizOp book and he holds it against his chest like a shield, right? And he says, if that Butch comes at me one more time, I'm going to open this book, right? So it's their talismans. People are buying BizOps as talismans
Yeah, it's
against
hope. It's
living
hope,
their
right? Like it's
little
hope.
lives.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 100%. Like I I used to have a very, very, very large library. Now I have a small library, and yet there are still many books that are sitting on my shelf that I hope one day to read because I was inspired. I heard it was good. I was inspired by it. Someone said it was great. I ordered it on Amazon, but I didn't read it. At least didn't read the whole thing, right? And I have books I want to read. I have digital products that I've purchased from people that I like and appreciate and want to learn from that I have not consumed or have not consumed properly, right? Like guilty.
Tellman,
Gosh,
I'll share this with you real quick, Harris. I'll share this. Tellman, I'm not letting you in the club. I'm not letting you in the club. You're just busy, right? Because as a group, the one thing that the three of us can brag about is when we see an opportunity, we go do it, right?
yeah.
So I'm not letting you in that club. The
That's
club that
true.
you're in that example
That's true.
is you're just busy, busy.
That is true. That is true.
And you do dive in on things. I mean, Tellman, not that you need a pat on the back, but like with automatic clients, how many times have you looked over all of that content?
No,
You know what
well,
I mean?
for me anyway, if like if I want to, I found that if I want to succeed, I have to take action and execute before I'm ready, and I have to do it relentlessly all the time. And yeah, I mean, you have to implement. I mean, and that's the whole thing is that most people. I mean, I think we've all learned this over and over again is that most people in most markets, most of the time, even if you're talking about your customers, are hobbyists. They're interested, but they're not committed, right? And that
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
I was going to mention something. You made me think of. We talked to Travis Ketchum really recently, and the idea it goes even further than that because some of them they'll he's noticed, right? You opt into something for the lead magnet, and it's something like 3 to 5% that even download that click on the much less download that click to do it. Now, what he did was he changed the paradigm, and he said, "Listen, uh, go check your email. It's there, and it's not gonna be there in 10 hours or whatever it was, 2 hours. What I don't remember the number. Do you remember the number? No.
I think he said 3 hours, but
So
whatever.
you've got 3 hours to download it, and then it's gone. And then it went from 2-3% up to 60% that were actually getting the thing that they wanted to get. And he says the reason why is similar to your talisman idea. They're like, I have it. They didn't get it. They know it's sitting in their email, and they're fine with that. They're like, I got the free thing that I wanted.
I'm
And
good.
now
Right.
they've done it. They've done the whole thing.
Yeah. I'll share a conversation I got to have with Tony Robbins, years back. We got to spend some time together, and it, we were talking, frankly, we were talking about Robert G. Allen at that time,
Yep.
and he said that if you want to sell anything in the info space, anything, you're a personal development guy. Because the conversation started with me saying, Tony, there's tons of personal development guys. Why are you the standout? What
Right.
happened?
Right.
He said, for people that say yes to a personal development offer, they have to say that they're broken first.
Mm.
It's a hard thing to admit, right? And then it got to real estate and Robert G. Allen. And basically, Tony, and I agree, Tony said that any info product you sell has to include the paragraph, and you're worth it. So go out and do it. It's all personal development. How to feel better about yourself while you're buying real estate, how to feel better about yourself while you're starting a
Right.
Facebook business. It's all personal development, I think.
Which comes
Um,
back down to that same
yeah,
thing of hope, right? Like people are so often buying hope of getting out of the crappy situation they're in, right?
How was it that you were able to have the ear of Tony Robbins?
uh, you know, micro story is when I was selling and doing okay, so I was selling drugs back in 18, and then I started using them, and I was damn near ready to jump off a bridge. I mean, I came real close. And I read Awaken the Giant Within and quit drugs and
Wow,
started
that was
selling
an
my
awesome
toys,
book, by the way. Really good book.
Say again?
That
Yeah,
really good
very
book.
good.
That was Awaken the Giant was the follow up to Personal Power, right?
Might have
Unlimited
been
Power.
Personal Power that I read. It was his first. It was a book that was available in the mid '80s,
Yeah. Yep.
whichever book it was.
Really good book.
So when I started making money, I was in the grant business, and Tony came to the town I was in, and I went to the event, and I saw the table outside for Platinum Partnership. It was like 150,000 a year to go hang with Tony, and you get all his products. You get into all the event, everything, right? So I just bought it because I could. And the magic to that was Tony uses NLP, of course, and something called waking hypnosis or Ericksonian hypnosis, right? And because I bought Platinum before I even walked into the room, I got to watch Tony as a scientist because there was nothing he could sell me,
Right.
right? And boy, did I learn how to sell. Tony gave me a good compliment. He's like, Tom, you're the best. You're the best NLP amateur I've ever met. I've never studied it, but I get a fair amount of it just intuitively.
You know, this is one really important part that I think separates a lot of very successful entrepreneurs and marketers from struggling copywriters, which is really, I think what it comes down to is learning how to sell and being in sales positions that like make you feel like you suck, and like learning how to handle rejection like face on, head on, through the and learning how to sell even if you lean toward being an introverted copywriter. Learning how to sell in other formats outside of copywriting, if copywriting is your profession, I found that copywriters who know how to sell outside of just the written word tend to be much bolder. They tend to be able to like push the emotional envelope further because they've already moved into that comfort zone so many uncomfortable zones so many times themselves that they're kind of more comfortable with it. So like learning how to sell in as many different formats as possible in order to become a great copywriter, I think almost it seems like it's a necessary thing.
I'll have to give you credit for the truth of that because that's not my story. And I've had some pretty high highs over the years, and I've had some pretty low lows. And I've always considered myself a fairly terrible in-person salesman.
But you
So
you
I'm
said
not
Yeah, but
just
you
you
said
learned it.
that you,
He's saying that you learned it. You just told us that you learned it from you were watching Tony and observed his sales process and recognized
that's right.
that this was
yeah.
sales.
But you
So you're internalizing it in that way. He's not necessarily saying that
right.
you became a good
No, I'm
salesperson.
not saying you became the best face-to-face salesman on the planet. You didn't even claim that. But like you started this interview by saying you were selling stuff as a kid. Like selling
Yeah, yeah,
this and
yeah.
selling that. Like, but like that it it takes guts and it takes like you have to face a certain amount of rejection in those situations. You know what I
So
mean? Like
Yeah, I'll take it.
how does that some of that apply to copy? Like, do you put NLP? Do you consciously put NLP, or do you think it just happens naturally into some of your sales copy? How does that manifest in on the written word? Same with waking hypnosis. Is that something that I mean he's mass hypnosis at his events, right? Um, so yeah. So anyway, I'm just curious how that applies.
And I have to plead mild stupidity. I believe I believe that it's in there. I do have one conscious NLP little Tom trick that I don't see anybody else doing, and that is I'll do first letter capitalization in the middle of a sentence if it's something that I want you to, hear, right? Like
mhm,
you could be wrong or right, but when you get this product, your life could get better is the sentence, right? And
mhm.
then get this product, all caps, or no, a capital letter, capitalized, little stuff. But beyond that, Harris, because I'm untrained, um, all I have are the results, and it's people tell me that NLP is in there, but I haven't trained enough to know what it looks like.
My
If that makes any sense.
Well, we should grab some of it and put it through ChatGPT and ask. But my one thing like that when I write copy is by now. By now you must blah blah blah. Like I feel like when they're
Yeah,
reading
yeah,
it, they're
yeah.
getting
Okay.
the by now in their head. Yeah. I mean there's never been a sales letter that I've written that I don't have like by now you must be wondering or
That's
whatever.
funny.
Yeah.
I've never once
A
used that
mistake
one.
that a mistake that so many people make. Like I have the a great honor that I don't get to talk about much because of NDAs, but a lot of times when big copywriters that we all know the names of want to write copy for themselves as themselves,
Right.
they come at me because I'm good with voices, right? And I can write like copywriter A or B, or they come at me, and boy, I was going somewhere with all that and fell off the cliff.
Well,
Harris,
I've
what were
got a
you
new
just
clip
talking
for
about?
you right now on that note that we probably should roll into, which is um okay, copywriting and the rise of AI. It's on everyone's minds. Everybody's talking about it. People are launching products, hither tither, about AI, blah blah blah, and lots of copywriters that I know have lost their jobs and positions um, due to AI being faster and cheaper. And so I'm curious about your experience and opinions on AI and how it's influencing copywriting and as a art and as a profession.
Well, I'm glad that you asked because I have some opinions there, and the very short version of that answer, I'll give you the longer one, is it's a good thing for some of us, right? If you're, I mean, I would give Claude and ChatGPT credit for being as good as a B plus copywriter.
That's
I
right.
mean, they can write just as good as a B plus copywriter, right? Now, the thing is, oh, and another thing, one other separate issue is companies that fire their humans over ChatGPT. I'm happy to see that too because they're morons, and they're a
Wait,
market. Look, when I go
who's
into a
moron?
market,
Who's the moron? The company or the person they fired?
the company,
Okay, that's
because
what I thought.
what
Yeah.
you need is if you're trying to be number six in a niche, fine, let ChatGPT write it. But if you're trying to be number one, like there's this thing that I talk about, I call it the bell to ball effect, right? If you're number two in a niche, it's a good place to be. You're making good money. But if you're number one, you're making 10 times the money.
Right.
Pareto, right? And if you want to be number one, you need single words to be better. You need to know what great copy looks like. And that's what ChatGPT can't do. It can't look at copy and tell you whether or not it's A plus, right? So if you're lucky enough to be an A plus copywriter, your job prospects are just fine, right? So again, if you don't have the spark, if you don't have the, a bit of talent, yeah, copy's scary. Copy is real scary. Um, but like I say, if you got to be A plus to know what A plus looks like, and Chat GPT hasn't. Who knows? Maybe, but
Well, I mean,
I'm
that's
I'm
what it's
gonna
supposed
guess
right? It's
that
supposed to the
humanity.
promise is that it'll get to that with everything, right? That it'll become superhuman and it that every subject matter it will be able to beat humans. So I guess we'll
Hey,
we'll
hold
see.
on, hold on. Is that the promise?
Yeah,
Who's making that promise?
AI community. It's absolutely. It's powerful. It's called powerful AI or AGI as well, which is basically
Advanced general
it's
intelligence.
already smarter in some subjects
Oh,
than
certainly.
than a human. Period. Like and it eventually will become smarter than humans in every subject and able to improve itself. So yeah, I mean, I listened to a podcast called Hard Fork and so I actually keep up pretty well on like the grander scheme of it. And this is this is the fear. This is why you don't want to give them the button either, because they're going to be like, humans kind of pollute the earth. Here's a solution, So, but
Yeah, I mean,
anyway,
there's silos, hairs. I think there's silos. Like if you're a radiologist, run, run, run. They got you whipped,
Right.
right? That you're done, right? But if you're a lawyer, let's say lawyer, ChatGPT was able to pass the bar exam. Okay, so again, it's a B plus lawyer. ChatGPT could be a G plus, a B plus lawyer, right? Now, if you're going on trial for murder, do you want a B plus guy or
right,
an A plus guy?
right,
And again, the A plus lawyer knows what A plus lawyering looks like.
yeah.
So at the top
Well,
of any
I
given
mean that's
profession, I think you're
that
safe.
that
A little
especially with that
safer.
example, you're not going to be a lawyer needs to basically be a salesperson in the courtroom. I mean, and ChatGPT's,
Yeah.
whatever AI, I don't believe. I have trouble believing that it will ever reach a point where you can where it's going to be able to be like I don't know what it's I don't even I'm not even imagining it that you've got a lawyer that's a robot that's AI robot and it's good at
I
somebody's
mean,
got to decide if you're
well, then do we have a human judge or an AI judge? Because interestingly, like the judges, right? Like, do not have anywhere close to the access or capability of AI in terms of being able to memorize and know how all the
Case law
cases
and all
that
that stuff.
happened in the
Yeah.
past and how they've been
Yeah, but
settled. Like,
there's a humanity argument. Imagine a judge who, and to be clear in this example, has the power to affect a human being's life, right? And at least a percentage of, I'm going to guess 30% or so goes beyond deadline, guidelines, and it's, to the human. Look, he's only 18.
right,
He showed up for school and brought his BB gun because he wanted to, he walks by the forest on his way back home. He wanted to go shoot some squirrel, whatever. But we're about to put him in jail for, mass murder or mass. You get it? Like the humanity side of it.
right.
The AI's got a long way to go from that.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's yeah, definitely
so,
not arguing that at all.
so
And I was going to also say where I was kind of going as well is I would rather have an A plus lawyer with a B plus AI as a tool. I'd rather it be
Yeah.
bionic. So like the idea of and this is I guess this is probably a common theme for us on this show actually is I'm a big believer in that bionic marketing concept where somebody that knows what the heck they're doing, A plus plus, um, knows also, figures out how to get really good results from a first draft and then knows what to do with it.
well, so Jason
Yeah,
Parker, yeah,
I'm smiling because I'm about to pick on one of our mutual friends, Fellman and Tellman. Back in the old days, my AI was Tomo.
that's
Ah,
right,
I know Tomo. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
him.
yeah, and now like he would do some seriously good drafts, and they and he can write copy too.
right.
Let's face it. But now ChatGPT can lay out. Now I write some serious prompts, like 1,000-word prompts to get to a sales letter. It's almost like it would be easier to write the letter. But yeah, it does great drafts. Great drafts.
Yeah.
That's where I find the most use.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Cool. By
So,
the way, do you mentioned earlier having an A plus copywriter look at something? Is that something that you do? Do you sometimes get paid to like look at an existing sales letter and saying, "Hey, I think I can improve it like this"?
Yeah, yeah. It's especially when somebody's a copy. They're kind of well known in the copy world. I just did one a couple weeks ago. Um, yeah, it's one of my favorite things because you can look at 5,000-word piece and write 10 words, and the guy, especially if they're an expert, they'll look at those 10 and say, oh yeah, yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's my favorite work.
That's your yeah, that's your favorite work because it's the most dollars per word that you're gonna get. They're like, "Here's your
Yeah,
here you go. I don't care how many words
it's
it
like
is."
that guy with the it's like that story, that folk tale about the guy who turns a nut on a ship's engine and charges $10,000 for it because he knew which nut to turn.
Yeah.
that's right,
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, so
good
speaking of
work when you
which,
can get it.
right? So, Tom, uh, what type of situations or opportunities are you looking for right now as a copywriter? Like, if people want to work with you, or whether they want to be mentored by you, or whether they want to talk about working with you on writing some copy, what are some options that you have for folks these days?
Well, I'll answer that. And one thing that should make me happier than it does is I've had some, and you guys, know my personal story a little bit. There's been some pretty big heart issues. I'm currently running from batteries.
Oh,
That's what these white
I didn't
things
realize
are.
that. I thought that was just
And
a design on your shirt.
no, no, I'm plugged in. There's a pump. Essentially, it's an artificial heart, but they don't call it that. It's a pump inside that helps your heart. So I'm taking it a little easier, and I'm doing a little less. I'm writing for clients. My specialty is people say you should specialize, but I've had winners in pretty much everything B2C. If it's B2C, I can write it, right? I've never lost a game of Beat the Control, not once ever, right? So I can beat, like I say, there's a lot I'm not good at, but I'm good at this copy thing. So I like, I'm good at writing copy from scratch for people. I'm good at taking copy that already works. Now, if you have people that are listening to this that are making 10,000 a month or so, and you're not hiring an outside expert to go in and write some split tests, you're kind of an idiot because you can afford it. And we both know that, now I'm going to start speaking expert traffic, and so somebody might get it, somebody might not get it. But when you're spending, call it 8,000, 10,000 a month, right? And you have your margins, you're making X, right? The fastest way to make X get bigger is conversion numbers, because spending more money on the front means you're spending more money, right?
Yeah,
So
so if you can spend
yeah,
the same
it's a
money and
rant.
make more conversions, you make more money.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's how you get to number one, and then you got the bell of the ball factor that we were talking about. So I write copy for people. I have kind of a unique ability to help people run shops. Like if people are out there running a shop and they're running into headaches with some staff, or some things are not happening right,
What's a shop? A
I can kind of
copywriting shop?
an offer shop
Oh, an
or
offer.
an agency.
Okay.
I can look at elements. I'm sure the three of us can, and figure out what's working and what's not working. So consulting, and here's the good news. Uh, because I've had some rough years, and that's where I'll go there. I have to say, I've been accused of being in the top 5 or 10 copywriters in the business, and I am far and away the cheapest with my rates. So
Yeah.
I'm a bargain. That's yeah, that's my little mini pitch.
Yeah,
Oh, and I love doing it. I
so if
love
anybody
doing it.
has
I love helping.
even a little bit of a budget, whether whether they're making 10,000 a month, or maybe they're making less, or maybe they've got budget for for some copy help and they haven't gotten it to click yet, you're a good person to contact, it sounds like.
Yeah, if you want to
B
start
to C,
something new,
so
and
not B2B, B to C, any kind of any area of B to C, it sounds like you're great at.
yeah, BizUp, I had biggest wins, survival, e-commerce, anything but stodgy business. I can write for stodgy business, finance, um, but the more blue collar it gets, the better I can do with it.
Okay.
Cool, cool. And so, how do people find you?
Well, I'll spell it out, or you can put it on the Facebook, listing for this. I'll spell it out though. Is my email. And by the way, if you have a question or you want, some free advice, I'm that guy. I like it. So here's my email. It's that THAT inspector INSPECTOR profits plural with an S PROFITS @gmail.com. Yeah, hit
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun,
me up.
Inspector Profits,
That's
dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
great.
Woo-hoo. Right? That Inspector Price. Is that it right there? He's got it up there, right? Yep.
That is it. Yep.
Cool, cool, cool. And Tom, I have 3 questions for you.
Sure.
One is, are you up for a challenge?
I am.
Great. Do you remember one thing that just popped into my head? I don't know. Well, I mean, you can say that. You don't actually have to do this, but if you did it, I think it'd be awesome. Do you remember that Gary Halbert letter from back in the day? Like, did you have did you have a positive relationship with Gary? Was it
Uh,
negative?
it's a funny one, but it's a story, and I know we want to keep the timing right. But I wouldn't say positive exactly, but we didn't hate each other.
All right. Well, maybe you'll want to do this. Maybe you won't. So, do you remember the Gary Halbert letter that he wrote, his singles ad? Where he put
I believe
a full page ad,
I have a vague memory of it. Yes.
Miami paper, looking for a girlfriend. But it was it. I'll send you a copy of it because it is a really good full page singles ad, basically.
Sure.
And it
Is this
made me
it?
think of you writing a sales letter for your ideal client. Long copy sales letter, just literally for your perfect client or customer. I feel like that might be an awesome thing.
Is this the one,
Yeah,
Tellman?
and
The headline, "Generous creative businessman wants to
Yeah,
find a
that's the
hot,
one.
sexy woman with a good sense of humor."
It's one of the best letters ever. One of the best letters ever.
I tried to sell a house with long form sales letter. I didn't get enough traffic to it or something. I don't know, or I'm
At
not good
one
enough.
point, I remember Armin Morin was selling houses on eBay. with
Yeah.
sales letters.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll
So wait,
share a
what's the
quick thought with
challenge?
you.
Wait, what's the challenge before
well, the
you?
challenge is: are you up for writing a sales letter to your perfect client, selling your services? Because, like, I think it'd be great. It would not only show off your copywriting skills, but it would like literally attract the perfect client.
All right. You have to add one thing to the challenge. Name an odd movie character. Just name one. Anyone.
Jessica Rabbit.
Jessica Rabbit. I'll write it as Jessica Rabbit. I do voices pretty good. Uh,
So,
so-
but two more questions. Two more questions. On a scale of 1 to 10, how was your experience on the Tellman and Fellman show today?
it was great. The cool thing, the thing that I feel a little blessed with is because I actually know what I'm talking about, and because I don't give a hoot if people like me or not much. Yeah, I can be free and happy and just chat and talk.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and I like you guys personally.
I like you
So
too,
there's
Tom.
that.
All
I
right.
like you.
Well,
I was
like
really worried. I was really worried about you some of those years too. I'm glad it's good to see you and talk to you live, and that you're, hopefully on the mend.
Yeah, going back to the Philippines in 16 days. I miss a lot of the family there. So a lot of folks said that that wouldn't have happened with the heart challenges, but yeah, looking forward to that on the
awesome.
upstroke.
Right
Awesome.
on.
And
Great.
Tom, who would you nominate to be our next special guest on the Tellman and Fellman show? Now, here's the caveat: you only have one person you can nominate.
Oh, I know that guy, and you guys probably don't know him. Jonathan Wilson.
Jonathan
Okay.
Wilson. Who's Jonathan Wilson?
He's my favorite. Well, I have a blanket term. I call them engineers. He's my favorite engineer. He thinks he's not good at he thinks he's not good at copy, right? Granted, I have an edge, but when it comes to pay per click or Facebook or just knowing the buttons and levers to press and pull,
Yeah.
Jonathan's that guy. And he could use a pat on the back because a lot of those guys don't get the accolades that
Cool. Well, please introduce us. We can have a chat with him and see if it makes sense. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, nice solid guy.
Rock and roll. Rock and roll. All right, guys. Well, before we wrap up, does anybody have anything else they want to jump in on?
Well, I just want Tom to know that Rory Stern popped up in my stream about 20 minutes ago and said, "The master." I think he was talking about you. I don't know about. I'm pretty sure he knows Tellman and I, so it must have been you. You know
I like
Rory?
it. Hi, Rory. Yeah, yeah. If you're listening, Rory, hit me up.
Cool.
It's been a while.
Rock
He'd
and
like to
roll.
talk to you about Uranus, Rory. Rory throws that joke around way too much.
Way too much.
Um,
That's right. Rock and roll. Well, thank you, Tom, for being our special guest on episode 44. This was awesome.
Perfect. Thank you guys for having me. Oh,
and
isn't that what all the politicians are supposed to say? They all say the same damn thing. When they thank them for coming on the show, thanks for having me.
yeah,
Okay.
I think a lot of interviews say thanks for having me or thanks for having me on the show. But yeah, you get beat up as a politician on some talk show. I'm like, okay, thanks for having me at the end. Imagine.
Sounds like something Meatloaf should say in the middle of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's right.
I'm going to
That's
make
right.
people look that one up.
That's right.
There you go. I'm looking up the Dagobah scene for sure after this. I mean, I've already looked it up
Right.
while we were talking. I'll make sure I'll read it. But
Right.
Tom, thanks so much for being on with us. I hope people got some tidbits from this as well. I was trying to pull a couple of store ideas of how to write better copy out, but really ultimately, I do know that you are a very affordable. It's the difference between what you charge and your skill level is way out of whack. It's upside down compared to you know all of the highly priced $1 trillion companies out there that somehow are worth $1 trillion, but they only make 150 million a year or whatever it is. So you know.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Harris. Thank you, Tellman and Fellman Show fans. Thank you, Tom, again. And we will see you all tomorrow morning.
Bye, everybody.
Perfect.
Thanks
Thanks,
again
all.
for watching, no
Bye.
matter what time or day that you watched. Appreciate it. Goodbye.
Toodaloo.